Oh, he's always late. Oh, late again. Oh, he's always late again. What the fuck? Oh, man. Top of the morning to you all, man. Top of the morning. What up? What up, 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 what up? How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Yo, a couple of things. Number one, yeah, still no glasses. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Get over it. I might never get glasses again. I don't know. I probably will. I can't see shit. But still, that's the first one. Second thing, man, and this is just a personal issue, but you guys got to hear about it because that's how it works now. Do you ever get those kind of pimples that are like painful? Like they're like kind of under the skin and they're just like really painful and like irritating. Y'all ever have those? TMI? Oh, I haven't even told you where it's at. Gross. Oh, it's so gross. Ah, shut your mouth, Josh. You've had them. You probably got one right now. Anyway, so I have one in a really awkward spot. Okay? Now, I hate to start the stream off of this way, but it's too late. No, it's not there. No, it's not there either. It's actually, so it's right on my back, okay, in a way that is, as I sit in this fucking chair. Yeah, it sounds like chat never gets pimples. Yeah, right. As I sit in this chair, it's like irritating. So you might see me like kind of act a little funky today or whatever. But like, dude, like I just felt it again. It's like right here. It's like this awkward part on my back where I lean it back in the chair and then it hurts and all that. Could be a cyst. I mean, I guess. I don't think that's what it is, but I guess it could be. Anyway, what up? How you guys doing? How's life, man? What's going on in the nerdy world? Anything going on? I mean, I say that, but there are a lot of things going on. We're going to get into some stuff today. We're going to talk about the new Marvel movie that was slated for 2028. That's pretty wild. We'll talk about the new Black Panther. It seems like we have a bit of a soft confirmation here, but we'll get into it because maybe not. There's some stuff out there about the Vision Quest ending, which I think is pretty crazy. And then really wild comments about Doctor Doom. And so I wanted to get into this whole conversation about Doctor Doom. Because I think, it's obviously something we're still all really curious about, interested in. And I don't know. I've kind of ebbed and flowed. Like, part of me, I was thinking my theory was like 100% on. And then I heard some stuff about Fantastic Four, and I was like, I'm not so sure. Well, another insider has kind of talked about how... Well, we'll get into it. We'll talk about it. But basically, I'm getting a sense that maybe there's more to the Doom thing than we thought. Maybe he does not come from the Fantastic Four universe. And so we'll get into that. I have some thoughts, theories, questions, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah. Hey, Josh, you see James Gunn came out and said the Superman shot with his eyes looks wonky because of unfinished VFX. And unfinished VFX isn't in the movie. Didn't he say it was the lens, though? Didn't he come out and say it's the lens? If he said something other than that, I haven't seen it, no. The empty chair, though? Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll get into the empty chair conversation. We'll get into all of it, man. Yeah. What's Doctor Strange up to in the MCU? I think currently he's with Clea. Checking out incursions, trying to stop incursions. I think that's what it is. What up? Much love to everybody as you're coming in. Appreciate y'all, man. Should be a nice and chill ass day. I know people were saying, because we didn't have a stream. Well, we didn't have a public stream yesterday. We had a Nerd Vendor stream, and it was good. I had a lot of fun with you guys last night, man. Just kind of kicking in and whatnot. So I appreciate everybody that was there. you know, people had said like they wanted a stream tomorrow. The only problem is like there's zero chance if I do a stream tomorrow, there's zero chance the Nerdy News Rundown comes out. Actually, today, right after the stream, I'm going over to the new studio and I'm going to get certified on their cameras and some of their tech over there. And so, yeah, I don't think there's going to be able to be a stream tomorrow. Like, it would be easier for me. Like, it would deadass be easier for me to just do a stream tomorrow than do all the stuff I'm going to do. But, yeah, I don't think so, guys. I mean, maybe there could be something over the weekend. I don't know. New studio? Yeah, so I'm getting a membership at a place that's like, it's like a studio. It has all these really high-tech cameras, editing equipment, audio stuff. Because I want at least NNR and maybe some other stuff to just get a better production value. So something I've been thinking about. But Culty just dropped a vid. Well, let me know again later. Maybe we can watch. Maybe we can watch that vid later. No, Josh, bro, take your weekends, please. No, I definitely need to. I mean, yeah. So yes, last week, right, was like fun and good, but I did like all these extra streams, and you know. I drained the hell out of myself last week, you know. But that's part of why I took yesterday's morning stream off. I just had more shit to do, man. I was writing a lot of scripts, you know, trying to organize some other things going on. But yeah. What you doing in the studio? Well, so there's like this big open area where they shoot a lot of like news type stuff. There's 3 different backgrounds that I'm looking at. One's like a really big green screen background. One is like a kind of white, like, I don't know how to explain it, like a square, funky looking background. And then there's like this other, like, kind of main stage thing where they have like these 2 chairs. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to experiment. I'm going to shoot on all 3 of the little sets. They have like these really high tech cameras, which they won't even let you use them unless you get certified. So I have to go in there and get certified on it. So yeah, like, I'm going to get in there and I'm just going to try to fuck around and figure out something that looks much better than this. I mean, look, at the same time, though, like, it's a tough thing because, and Ross, for sure, man, like, give me 1 second, I'll address that, because I was so proud of you, man, and I think that's so cool. And I know you do a lot of stuff in the community and whatnot, and it's cool that Kugler's involved in all that stuff, too. So shout out to you, but give me 1 second. Let me just finish this thought. There's a give take here where, like, you don't want your shit to be like too professional or too polished, because I really think that's kind of inauthentic and people don't like it as much. Like, the state of content is so strange right now. Like, a lot of people would say, like, even my background or like my vibe here is like bad, or it doesn't look good, or it's not professional. And like, I'm just telling you, that shit does not matter. And in fact, in a lot of ways, it's actually a barrier to entry for a lot of modern internet audiences. Like, if it feels too polished, if it feels too professional, if it feels too produced, it rings as inauthentic, right? So part of what I'm going to do today is go in there and mess around and try to find that happy medium. I think I'm goofy enough and unprofessional enough that even with high production value, it'll feel authentic, but we'll just see. Bring back the tower. I mean, look, man, the truth is, like, I've thought a lot about bringing back the tower. I would love to bring back the tower. The problem is it's very involved. Like, I would need to have like really good green screen lighting, really good setup on the stream and all that sort of stuff. Maybe someday, yeah. We'll see. There's a lot of cool shit happening, man. You know, a lot of technology is changing stuff. So let's address what Ross said here. Ross says, thanks for the love on me linking with Kugler. Ironheart came up because of our mutual friend is the main writer. If it's good, you must watch. Kugler, don't miss. Yeah. Hey, you know what? Honestly, man, I will say this. Out of all the shit that's going on for Ironheart, like, real talk, and I think this is actually kind of an important conversation. So, like, you know, this is the take. Okay, this is the take. All the stuff that Marvel's trying to get me to understand about Ironheart, like, everything they're saying and all the promotion and all, like, you know, the Tony Stark thing, all this, I'm gonna be honest, none of that is working for me personally. None of that is working. Okay? But Ryan being Ryan and the whole press tour for Sinners, and I didn't even watch the movie, but I just admire the realness. I admire the passion. I just fucks with him. So literally just you talking to Coogler about it and then telling me you got to watch it if it's good is so much more impactful and actually would probably get me to check it out as compared to all the corporate shit. Like, does that make sense? Where, like, dead ass, man, I just kind of respect Coogler. You know what I mean? And that's just where we're at. Now, frankly, I think still, I mean, I gotta be real. I still don't think I would necessarily love it as much because I think at the end of the day, there's a sort of reason why Coogler goes to make Sinners as opposed to his Marvel work. And I understand it. He's still fucking with Marvel. Like, he's still going to do all that stuff. Totally understand it. But I just mean to say, like, there's a measure of it that's still not totally translating. Now, if this was like a Black Panther spinoff, or like if this was something that I felt he had a little bit more ownership of, I'd be maybe a little bit more down. And maybe he did it. Like, maybe he took the corporate mandate and made it really authentic and owned it and made it really good. I'm open to that. But I still, like, for me, there is a huge hang up there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can not. I'm having a lot of trouble crossing the river to being optimistic about that project. Do you know what I mean? But I appreciate you, man. And shout out to you because I know you've been doing a lot of community work for a long time. And I mean, you know, we talk about all the Marvel movies. You always tell me how you buy out theaters for, you know, people from your community and stuff. And it's awesome. And it's just cool that your path and his path have crossed and you guys have been able to help each other out because the world is starved for just real ass dudes that want to help and be kind. And I'm proud of you, brother. Proud to call you a nerd Avenger. You know what I mean? Proud that your character's in Unity. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool. You know? So, appreciate you. Shalomi Leaner says, and Justin, why'd you delete that shit? Was it about Warhammer or something? Have you seen the new Superman clip, The Interview? It's pretty cringe. Clark literally says Superman doesn't go on social media. Still excited for the movie, though. I literally didn't watch it because I don't know. I just saw the way people were reacting to it, and I was like, man, I could tell I'm not going to love this scene. I didn't like it in the trailer. If it's anything like it was in the trailer, I'm just not going to like that scene. It's fine. I don't have to like it. But at the same time, nah. You know what I mean? Like, that marketing is not working on me. But, hey, maybe it's not for me. And frankly, I'm going to watch the movie regardless. So, misclick when I was trying to type. Oh, shit. Bro, you got to check out the Discord link I sent you. Okay, yeah, I'll try, man. I'll try. Remind me, ping me on it or something. My only knock on Sinners was the blood looked fake. Oh, yeah? Well, I haven't seen it, so I can't really speak to that, but, you know, fair. Watch on stream, please. It'll be great. Are you talking about Ironheart or the trailer? Either one would probably be great. I'd probably crash out. Nah, man. I mean, yeah, happy birthday to you, Luz. Happy birthday. Excitement level for Fantastic Four? Probably like a 7 or 8 right now. I would expect it'll go up as we get closer, though. Superman clip? Yeah, no, thanks, man. Look, here's the reality. I have realized that a lot of people, like, I think I'm just the wrong messenger for some of the criticisms of Gunn and that whole shit. Because, you know, I was talking to some people in the Discord about this, but, like, I'm certainly not alone in thinking that Gunn is, like, super cringe and his whole, like, attempt to be the cool 60-year-old David Lynch-esque dude is just cringe and out of touch, right? I'm not alone in that feeling. But I can also acknowledge that maybe I'm the wrong messenger for it because everybody's just like, oh, well, you just don't like him. You have this beef thing, you know, like that's what it is. And it's like, yeah, sure, I do. But at the same time, I feel the way I feel, you know, it's just one of those things. Nuance is hard on the internet. So it's best to just leave certain things alone. Like, I'm just going to try to be excited about Superman and hope that it succeeds. And then hopefully there's stuff within there that I can cover and have fun with. Yeah, we'll see. People have not seen Gunn's old tweets. You know what's funny? And I'm not going to do this, okay? I'm not going to do this. But I thought about doing this, and I was like, this fucking content would go crazy viral. But I'm not a monster, so I'm not going to do it. But imagine doing a You Laugh, You Lose with Gunn's old jokes that he got fired for. Like, imagine me doing a You Laugh, You Lose with all the jokes that Gunn got fired for. I mean, that would get millions of views. You know what I'm saying? No, see, I'm not going to do it because as much as people don't believe this, I actually try to play fair. You know what I mean? Like, I try to play fair. No, it wouldn't. Dude, my stuff has already got millions of views on... and it is Twitter. Like, I'll be honest. It wouldn't get millions of views on YouTube, although it could if it got cut out to shorts and people spread it around and stuff like that. But, like, so I've made a lot of content about Superman on Twitter that goes super viral. I'm talking millions of views. You would need your glasses? Fair. I'm just saying, like, I do try to play fair. I think that's bad faith, actually. Now, to be real, that shit is so fucked up that, like, I still think he should be, like, haunted by that forever. Like, it's that bad. But at the same time, it's just not good faith to bring that up in the context of everything that he's doing right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just not. It's just not. So, yeah, I'm just chilling. You know what I mean? I'm going to try to be chill. Superman. Josh is a good guy mostly. I wouldn't even describe myself as a good guy. I would describe myself as fair. But I'm not a good guy. You know what I mean? Like, I try to be principled. And a part of why I try to be principled is I can, like, recognize the darkness within me. You know what I mean? Kind of like integrating your shadow, right? Yeah, I just try to be fair and principled. I think that's a good guiding thing. You know what I mean? You're relaxing, Josh. I'm chilling. True. Facts. Thoughts on them making up the fake Snyder boycott Reddit post for Gunn to respond to? I mean, you know, I don't know that that's real. I can imagine that being what happened, but at the end of the day, like, game is game, right? So if that's what they're trying to do, sure, you know. And, like, it's not as though the Snyder, like, group, right? You call them the Snyder cult, the Snyder fans. It's not like that group hasn't also made themselves look really silly. Like, there are many moments where they make themselves look silly. You know, part of the problem with kind of, you know, planting your flag in any particular group on the internet is that some wild-ass motherfuckers that you probably don't fully agree with are going to say some shit, and then that's going to be attributed to you. Like, guilt by association. That's why, like, I don't really like to do collabs, and I don't really... Like, I just kind of try to stay in my own little lane, you know what I mean? And all that, but yeah. Coogler spoke with so much about honesty being the secret last night. You got that quality too. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, I mean, authenticity is like one of those things that people can just kind of suss out. I think higher intelligent people can suss it out better, right, than low IQ folks. But at the same time, I think inauthenticity is... Yeah, I think it's pretty damning, man. You know what I mean? It's a tough thing to get past, you know? And it's like this, like, because I'll think about this sometimes, because I'm certainly not perfect. In fact, I had a bad moment this morning. Good friend of mine, fellow YouTuber, I got in his DMs and got a little hot. You know what I mean? I'm going to be honest. Like, I was a little hot, and I am a fire sign, you know? And I get passionate about these things. And sometimes, like, I come probably a little too hard. Pause. And so I was even like... Even this morning, I was like, you probably should have dialed that back a little bit. But here's the truth. Being authentic and meaning well will also earn you a little bit of cushion with folks. So meaning, like, look, I've had a fair bit of controversy. And you'll see some people that I know for sure don't agree with some of my points or stances, but they don't go hard on me, right? Like, they're not going to quote tweet me, subtweet me, and all this other stuff. And I think a lot of that, it's because I've sort of earned a little bit of grace. Do you know what I mean? And you sort of earn that just by being authentic and trying to be kind and being principled, and then you earn a little grace. Like that, I'm telling you right now, there are probably some people that really don't like certain aspects of whatever the content is right now, whether it's the Superman stuff, the Andor stuff, or whatever, right? Like, for sure, probably a lot of people on Twitter that, like, want to cook me on a certain point or whatever, and they don't. And part of the reason they don't is because I've just earned a little grace with them. And I think at the end of the day, like, that's all you can do. You know, it's like you're going to fuck up. You're a flawed human being. We're all kind of built differently, and we respond to things different. We all have trauma. You know what I mean? It's all we're all just trying to do our best. And if you can authentically walk with just a little bit of grace through life and try to help others when you can, and you know, I think you sort of earn a little bit of grace from others when you're fucking up, which with me is all the time. You know what I mean? Ah, you see that fly? Look at the size of that fucking fly. We're gonna get him today, chat. We're gonna get him. He comes around here. He doesn't know. He doesn't know the reflexes. You know. He doesn't know the speed. We're gonna get him today. Yeah. I just pray James Gunn doesn't have any involvement in Batman. I'm not even that far on it, bro. Like, look, Gunn has done good. You know, we talked about this a little bit. People were bringing up Peacemaker yesterday, right? Peacemaker is not my thing, and it's because it's kind of like unabated Gunn, right? It's like him just unleashed, and I'm like, thank you, but no thank you. But even within Peacemaker, there's stuff that I acknowledge is cool and good and interesting, and like Gunn is ultimately a nerd, so he's interested in some of the same stuff, so like the pocket dimension stuff, you know, his instinct to bring the Justice League in and all that sort of stuff. Like, Gunn's not like absolutely horrible. To me, the issue is he seems super like egotistical about his shit and therefore kind of unwilling to bend on these things, right? But it seems like with Superman, probably just because there's so much money being, you know, spent and it's at play, he has certainly played ball. And I think that's cool. You know, he's not like being a little bitch about it. He's, you know, from what I understand, he's playing ball and he understands. And so any creative person that is willing to truly collaborate with all their business partners and try to maybe, you know, try to look past their own sensibilities to the sensibility of the audience, like, that's all you can ask of people. You know, so I'm not in this camp of like Gunn should not be involved with Batman. I'm glad he's not the lead writer for sure. He should not be the fucking writer for Batman. But I'm not going to go as far as like this motherfucker should not be involved with any of this shit. You know. Major says, Josh makes cape content better than it really is. Connecting dots and speculating on what if is usually more fun than what we get on screen. I think there's truth in that. That's part of the reason why I want to make Warhammer content, because I'm kind of sick of, like, frankly, I want to take my talents to, like, I would like to give you that same experience with Warhammer and the Warhammer show. Like, I would like to enhance your experience of enjoying Warhammer. Not to say that I'm not going to still do that with Marvel and whatnot, but like a little bit of it for me is like it doesn't feel, I don't know what the word is. It doesn't feel copacetic. It doesn't feel like we're all getting good stuff out of it, you know? What's with the YouTube caption pick? World War III? No, although now I could see how that's probably something you could perceive from it. No, it was more like I was just thinking of a storm of news. And actually, my original idea was like to have it like raining down on me, and then I ran out of time and just made it sloppily. You know what I'm saying? Chillin' says Gunn is a talented movie maker. I appreciate the 5 spot too, brother. Gunn is also cringe AF. Two things can be true at the same time. 100%. Just typing to not waste characters now. Oh, okay. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, no, that's the take. That's 100% the take. Talented filmmaker. Also super cringe. It is what it is. Justin Yell says, what happened to the anchor beings? Why does it play into the current scenario with Secret Wars? Haven't heard much about it lately. Much love. You know, it's funny. We talked about this yesterday on stream, and there is a video, because we took a clip out of yesterday's stream. We're going to polish it up, add some stuff to it, and put it on the main channel probably today. But in the scoop, we talked about, oh, no, it must have been Tuesday, because we didn't stream it publicly yesterday. So it must have been Tuesday. There's some word out there that the anchor beings are still going to be important, and the current leak, rumor, theory is that Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, is the anchor being of 616, and that Doom needs to like destroy him in order to reset the sacred timeline. So yeah, they are marketing Superman hard in Manila. I mean, from what I understand, they're going to market this thing really hard all around the world. I think Campia said, and I could be wrong, because like you guys will tell me shit that Campia says. I don't watch Campia, so I don't know. But you guys, somebody told me that Campia is reporting that Superman will have a $250 million plus marketing budget. One of the biggest marketing budgets for a film ever. And if that's true, holy. Yeah, kind of interesting. Superman opens to 160. I mean, that would be incredible. If it's domestic, that would be absolutely fucking incredible, right? The recent leaks for Doomsday sound too good to be true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. They do kind of sound a little too good to be true, yeah. A-Cam says, hey, Josh, glad to still hear Marvel rolling off your tongue. Still looking fit with no glasses. Keep it up, man. Oh, shit, you see that, chat? More of that. More of that energy. Less of this, it's horrifying without your glasses, you know? More of that kind of energy. 1 billion or bust for Superman? I don't know about that. I think if it even gets close, it's a success. I mean, it just kind of depends, right? Like, we're going to get these 3 big blockbusters in a row, and I think that's going to tell a lot of story as far as what's going on with cinema, dude. I kind of get a feeling none of these movies are cracking $1 billion, to be honest. Like, I don't think Jurassic's going to crack $1 billion. I don't think Superman's going to crack $1 billion. I don't think Fantastic Four is going to crack $1 billion. Now, that's just where I'm at today, right? Like, that's just where I'm at today. We're going to get projections. We're going to get all this information. We're going to get data in the next couple of weeks. But I don't think any of them are cracking $1 billion, dude. Yeah, that's just where I'm at today, though. Again, that'll adjust with data and whatnot. But, yeah. Remember when Josh beat Cyber Akuma? Hell yeah, dude. Oh, my God. Cyber Akuma, one of the most difficult bosses in all of early video games. You know, some people have spent days, weeks, months, maybe years of their lives trying to beat Cyber Akuma. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to oversell it, but I should probably be in the Guinness Book of World Records, to be honest. Because I beat Cyber Akuma in like 30 tries. Like less than 15 minutes, like boom, 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 beat Cyber Akuma. It was so shocking that chat was like, this has to be, this can't be real. And you guys were really mad about it, but. Any clarification, updates, or comments about the Warhammer lawsuits? Which lawsuits? Are you talking about the 3D printing lawsuits, or are you talking about some of the stuff that's going on now with like copyright situations? Is that because, you know, and maybe we should talk about this later, but I thought about doing a little rant about Warhammer. To be honest with you, part of me was like, I should probably leave it alone. I haven't earned my stripes enough in the Warhammer community to like come out and make some of the statements I think I want to make. I mean, I have my opinion, I have my perspective, but I'm just not a longtime fan. I've been a fan for like 4 or 5 years. Some people have been fans for like 30 years, their whole lives or whatnot. But I certainly have my opinions, man. And you know, the truth is, like, looking at what companies like Disney, Warner Brothers, Paramount, some of these companies in the United States, looking at how they treat their audiences compared to GW, I am a little shocked at how butthurt a lot of the Warhammer fans are, and I don't fully understand why. You know what I mean? But that's my perspective on it, right? Did we hit 200 wins yet? Yeah, I think I'm well past that. I think I'm like in the 400s or whatever. But I haven't been playing a lot of Rivals, man. I mean, I like Ultron. I had a lot of fun when they did they dropped Ultron in the game and, you know, made all those changes. I had a lot of fun, but I just haven't been back to play. I mean, part of it's because I've been playing more Warhammer. But I don't know. Like, what are you guys? Are you guys on Rivals? I mean, Rivals did fall off a little bit. Now, maybe that was inevitable because it kind of had a shocking pop off. You know, maybe it was always going to fall off, but it does kind of feel like it's fallen off a little hard, huh? Brutal the Bear, appreciate you, man. Says, morning, Nerd Ventures. Yo, Josh, did you see the lineup for Marvel's 2099 Avengers led by Doom? OP as hell. You should check it out. Nerd Ventures for life. Keep it brutal. Yeah, I actually want to read that, dude. It looked really cool. It looked really cool because it had like Spider-Man 2099. It had Punisher 2099. It had Cable. Right? Like it had some crazy heavy hitters, so that shit's good. I'm still playing. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a great fucking game for sure, and I'm not saying it's dead or anything like that, but I do think it's probably fair to point out that like it was the top of the whole thing, and then it's kind of fallen into a. I mean, most games would be so happy to have the level of success that Rivals has. I don't think Rivals is necessarily going anywhere. Like, I think it's going to be a staple in gaming for years to come. But it is sort of going through a moment right now where it did lose some of its momentum and all that. No more Spotify. No, man, no more Spotify. Apologies on that, but I'm not uploading any of this stuff as podcasts anymore. Stellar Blade, bro, get on that shiz. I don't know. I don't know about that. Eventually, the movies will give it a boost. Maybe. Variety reported the F4 sequel could be released in 2028. That's true. Should we get into that, chat? Should we begin speaking about this? Because that is one of the topics today. Thoughts on Giganto in F4? So that was not from the movie. That was from a commercial. I wonder if Giganto will still be in the film, and hopefully he looks way better than that if he is. But from what I understand, that is not... That's not from the movie. You know? Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's get into this, man. Let's talk a little bit about this. I want to talk about this new Marvel movie, right? Kind of wild that like a movie 3 years away is making news, but it is what it is. So I think this comes from CinemaCon. Let's look at this up. Let's look this up. Okay. Let's have a. Oh no! Don't. Oh, I thought it like glitched out for a second. Oh, I was gonna be so mad. Okay. Marvel adds possible fourth movie to 2028 slate. Wait, what? I thought we were slowing down. Disney announced on Wednesday that Marvel Studios is scheduled to release an untitled movie on December 15th of 2028. That is 3 years from now. Almost had to get out my toes. Pause. It's scheduled to release for February, May, November, with previously announced films. So now there's 4. Should all 4 films hold onto those dates, which is not nearly certain, it would be unexpected move for the studio, given Bob Iger's recent public admission that they've lost little focus by making too much. We all know that in our zeal to flood our streaming platforms with more content, that we turned to all of our creative engines, including Marvel, and had them produce a lot more, Iger said during an investor call in May. We've also learned over time that quantity does not necessarily beget quality. Oh, yeah? I like baguettes. And frankly, we've all admitted to ourselves that we lost a little focus in making too much. By consolidating a bit and having Marvel focus much more on their films, we do believe that will result in better quality. Now, what they're leaving out is that right after this, he deadass said, Thunderbolts represents that new change. And then it bombed in the box office. But let's just read on. It is quite unclear, however, whether Marvel will actually release 4 films in 2028. Marvel has a history of holding on to release dates for future projects well past when those films could realistically make those dates to ensure they remain available for other films from the company. Marvel's Blade was removed from its November 2025 release date only after Disney was ready to slot 20th Century Studios film Predator Badlands in its place. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, huh? For 2026 and 2027, Marvel has significantly winnowed its feature slate. What the hell is this word? I don't like it. After the Fantastic Four first steps open in July, the studio is producing 2 films in 2026. Spider-Man Brave New Day, a co-production with Sony Pictures, in July, and Avengers Doomsday in December, and 2 films in 2027, an untitled project in July, and Avengers Secret Wars in December. Secret Wars is meant to be the finale of the Multiverse Saga, after which Marvel is expected to pivot a saga centered around characters inherited in Disney's 2019 acquisition of the 20th Century Fox, the X-Men. Thunderbolts director Jake Schreier has been tapped to helm the MCU's first mutant movie, although... Wow. So they're pretty much confirming Jake Schreier as the director. Interesting. Although actors from the Fox movies will appear in Doomsday. Other Marvel projects in development that could wind up in 2028 include Blade, Black Panther 3, and a Fantastic Four sequel. Okay, wow, wee wah. Now, that's the official line, right? That's the official company line here. And this little bit of hair is bugging me, so I'm going to pull that up. But let's talk about the unofficial shit, man, because that's what is more interesting. When this news broke, a lot of folks had one idea. And that idea was, what if Secret Wars is 2 movies? Now, here's the thing. Here's the deal with that. That is not a novel idea. That is not a new rumor. That is something that's been very well established. And in fact, if you go all the way back to the massive leak that happened around the time of Quantum Mid-Mania, that's the actual name of the movie, you will remember that there was discussion even in that big leak that they were considering splitting Secret Wars into 2 films. Okay? Now, more recently, within the last year, we heard a lot of smoke about that. There's this new guy, James Mackwell, on Twitter that we technically don't know whether or not he's legit or not. Picked a really interesting time to kind of pop onto the scene with a massive delay between, movies. But he's out there saying some kind of wild shit. And in fact, a couple of weeks ago, before Marvel officially pulled out of Hall H, which is something I would never do, James Mackwell had reported that during Hall H, Marvel was going to reveal a lot of shit, including multiple movies that were still going to be in the saga, and the fact that Secret Wars would be split into 2 parts. Okay? And it just seemed so crazy. It seemed so fucking wild. I was like, man, like, this is pretty crazy. Again, there's precedents. There's like some smoke there, longstanding rumors, etc. And we know for sure that Marvel Studios is grappling with the scale of this big story they're trying to tell, right? And like, dude, they just delayed both of those movies by 7 months each. That's huge. So obviously there's a lot they're still trying to do, and it's a very ambitious group of films. So after this came out yesterday, it wasn't just people speculating. There were like a whole bunch of random scooper accounts and like insiders and everything that were saying, oh man, what if it's 2 movies? What if Secret Wars is actually being split into 2 films? Which would be so cool. I think a lot of us would enjoy it. And I think that there's like a basic pro and a con here. There's probably a lot of pros and cons, but like I think this is really what it comes down to. On the pro side, this would give Marvel more time to tell this story. It would give them more time to make sure that the Multiverse Saga felt like it came to a satisfying conclusion. It would give them more time to establish how the end of this multiversal saga leads into the X-Men saga, etc. Right? So there would be that's the basic pro of the whole situation. The con, though, and I think this is kind of the rub, the con is it just extends a period in time that I think is kind of just uncomfortable for Marvel. I think the reason that I think they want to get this shit over with. You know what I mean? And that's a rough way to say it. I know they probably wouldn't describe it that way, but I think they totally, like, think about it from this perspective. They know they fucked everything up. I mean, according to James Gunn, Luis D'Esposito is literally telling him in private, yeah, Disney fucked us. The MCU is kind of like dead and shit. And it's like, whoa, right? So they know how bad it is. And I think in part, the way they're viewing the end of this is like, just throw everything at them. All the X-Men, Doctor Dooms, Iron Man, OG Avengers, throw every goddamn missile we have, like fire the missiles, like give them everything that we have, and let's get this shit over with. Let's soft reboot. Let's bring in the X-Men, and let's get back to business. I think that's a part of the process. So technically, the con here is that if they decide to split this thing into 2 movies, they get a whole nother year of living in this kind of like icky, like, oh man, like what the fuck kind of situation, right? So I think that's the basic pros and the cons, guys. And I guess the best way that I can, like, my best look at what's actually going on is I would imagine Marvel's probably aware of all of this stuff. And I think they're probably leaning in the direction of like, let's just get it over with. So I don't think they're actually going to split the film up into 2 parts. And then that was sort of corroborated by some other reporters yesterday. I think Daniel said he has heard nothing of them splitting it into 2 parts. Kind of an interesting way to phrase that, because I know there were some rumblings years ago. But at the same time, like, yeah, he's pretty solid on this sort of stuff. Nobody else solid is out there saying that it could happen. I think Alex Perez went as far as to say he would enjoy it, but he didn't confirm or deny or like even hint that it was real. Highly doubt it's real, guys. Okay, so what does that mean then? Well, that means we're probably looking at one of the other projects. As they brought up in the thing, you know, you've got Black Panther 3, which we know Coogler is writing a character for Denzel. Coogler's really excited about that. So that's pretty interesting. We have Shang-Chi 2, which I know Destin Daniel Crichton still wants to make. And I think he's got ideas and things that he wants to do for that. We have a sequel to the Fantastic Four, which is wild, okay? I don't know that I thought we would get a sequel like that, because technically the Fantastic Four are going to have 2 sequels right after their movie, because they're intimately involved in Doomsday and Secret Wars, right? So it's a little wild. It's a little wild that you'd be like, oh, a sequel to the Fantastic Four movie. Brother, they've got 2 sequels coming out, like right after that. What you really mean to say is a sequel to Secret Wars with the perspective of the Fantastic Four, right? So that's weird. Is it even a Fantastic Four movie? I'll say this, okay? It strikes me as strange. At the same time, though, considering the Hickman Fantastic Four movie and the way that ends, which is that Reed basically tricks Doom into admitting that Reed would have done a better job saving the multiverse than Doom, okay? After he does this, the Beyonder, Owen Reese is like, oh, really? Well, guess what? Now he's got the power. And then, you know, Reed has all the power of the Beyonders, okay? And in the comics, Reed takes the power of the Beyonders. He sort of pulls out these different copies of Owen Reese, the Molecule Man, because the Molecule Man is like infinite. Like, he's just the same guy all over the multiverse, right? So you kind of like take a little bit of the Beyond power, Reed like mixes it up, and then he uses his son's power, Franklin Richards, who can literally create universes, and they recreate all of the universes within the multiverse, okay? And we think Secret Wars will likely end in a similar way, because they're building up Franklin right now. He's going to do crazy powerful stuff. Doom is going to use him to do even more crazy powerful stuff. And then I think it's probably going to end in that sort of way, okay? Now, considering that, if that happens, then a potential sequel to that with the Fantastic Four set in the new MCU reboot, yes, this might be the move. The Fantastic Four could be a great group of characters to explore what the new MCU looks like, the mutant phenomenon, stuff going on out there in the galaxy, because we've heard that maybe Annihilus, maybe the Eternals or the Celestials or Mad Celestials or something like that, like maybe that's also like a big part of the Phase villain, like the Thanos of the Phase or whatever. So with that in mind, sure, completely makes sense that you're going to potentially get the sequel to Fantastic Four with those characters setting up the new universe. Here's the problem, though. Like, what's up with Black Panther 3, Shang-Chi 2, Blade? Like, what's up with all these movies? Now, Blade, because they've taken so long, is probably fine. It can just exist in the new MCU, right? Black Panther 3, like, dude, I thought Black Panther 2 was an impossible task. You know what I'm saying? And like, bro, you're dealing with losing generational talent, somebody that you admired and looked up to, and you're dealing with massive corporate considerations, because you got to remember, Black Panther 1 was a phenomenon, dude. It was a fucking phenomenon, and it was just so meaningful and important to so many different folks, business folks, audience members, different communities. It was massive. So you go into Black Panther 2, dealing with all of that, the loss of Chad, the legacy of the thing, corporate considerations, big business. Brother, I do not envy Coogler and what he had to go through to make that second film, right? But now, you think about a third Black Panther movie. How the fuck is it the case that the third Black Panther movie might be the most difficult, most weird, most, like, challenging to pull off for Coogler yet? Because he's going to have to figure out, we're about to talk about it, there's a new Black Panther probably popping up in Doomsday, probably popping up in Secret Wars, right? It's this one dude. So you're going to have a new Black Panther, a new universe. Shuri's plot of the next two movies is going to have to impact that. Like, dude, what? Black Panther 3 is going to be very fucking hard to pull off, dude. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's tough. That's tough. And I think even Shang-Chi, too. I mean, again, Shang-Chi is about to have, I think, pretty good sizable amount of story in these next two Avengers movies. Then the next movie has to be completely different. It has to be completely different. So it's like, it's crazy. And I don't understand. Like, I get it. You're putting 4 movies in 2028. Like, is that really how you want to kick off the new version of the MCU? Like, I don't know, bro. There's just some questions here. Insofar as what different movies these could be. When does X-Men come out? Because technically, we don't even know what the July movie of 2027 is. Is that X-Men? Doesn't seem like it. Is that World War Hulk? What? Is that Doctor Strange 3? What? Is there literally nothing? So you can see, and one sort of last thing I'll add to this is that, you know, sometimes we question, well, how do we know this about the story? Or how do we know that about the story? Where are the leaks and the rumors coming from? If they're building the whole Phase 7, Phase 8 thing right now, then they generally know how Secret Wars is going to end. Right? So there's a whole bunch of stuff there that is going to be in consideration that they have to think about, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, a 4th movie in 2028 is wild. There's a lot of speculation. I do not think they should do 4 movies. And if anything, like, just delay some of those other ones. I mean, at this point, Blade will be a decade late. So what's another year or two? You know, like, let that happen. But that's the report, guys. New film, 2028. A lot of speculation. Interesting time for Marvel Studios. Would love to know your thoughts on that. So let me know your thoughts on that. I'll read Justin Super Chat here. Appreciate you, bro. 10 spot says, sorry, Finto. If you had to give one reason, what would you say is the main reason for box office failing? Ticket price, I feel, is getting so high. $90 for me to pre-book Soups and Fantastic Four. Wild. Take my money. Alex. So that was Finto? And you... Okay, cool. Gotcha. If I had to pick one reason, well, I mean, that's kind of like bad framing, right? Because there's obviously not one reason. If there was one reason, people would probably figure it out and fix it. So I think the question is framed incorrectly. But I think maybe what you could say is, out of all the potential reasons, which one do you think is the most important? Which thing is having the most impact on the box office? That's like, it's almost the same question. It's just framed a little bit differently. I would say price, but it's really value. It's really the value proposition. Okay, let me explain this. It's not the fact that the movie's very, very expensive. It's the fact that the movie is expensive, inconvenient, and has not provided enough of a value proposition to justify its own price. So it's not the price, it's the value proposition. Because what are you really saying to people? Do you want to leave your house, travel, come to this place, pay extra for food, go into this dark room with a bunch of strangers who are probably not going to respect you or the experience? And are you going to then watch this thing 4 hours in this theater and then leave, travel back home, all of these sort of things? That experience in the modern world is not justifiable for most folks because of the price tag. If the experience was fucking incredible. And what do I mean by that? Here's just one example. What if all of the seats in the theater had massage chairs? And you might be like, that's ridiculous. Is it? You're going to make us wait through a half hour of advertisements before the movie. I think the least you could do is have the best fucking seat. So if I have to sit for hours in this location, it would be noisy. I mean, yeah, sure. There's potentially all sorts of problems with it, right? But I'm just making one example. I'm not saying this is the fix, because I don't even think it makes sense to put massage chairs in there. I'm just giving you one example, okay? You know, one thing that I thought Coogler did that I thought was so cool is he would give out the 70 millimeter frames. Okay, and so you could go to one of the 70 millimeter showings and get an actual 70 millimeter frame of the film. That's really fucking cool, man. Like, that's like going to a concert and you know, like, why do people go to concerts? I think it's because of the experience, but I think it's also because they can share the experience, the memory, etc. You know, it's like having that ticket stub for that banger, you know, thing or whatever, right? So what I'm saying is the experience itself has not tried to innovate. They have not tried to innovate either, actually, but they have not tried to advance the experience at all. They haven't tried to make it better, man, you know? Zach says, I have 3 kids, so it's hard for me to go see a movie once, let alone multiple times. And I think a lot of people feel that same way. Much love, Josh. Nerd Revenge for life. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think that's fair. Nail salons have massage chairs. If you get the good pedicure, you get a foot rub. It's not out of pocket. It's probably not realistic for the industry, but yeah, it's not so out of pocket that people can't get what I'm saying, right? Yeah, the experience has just not been upgraded enough. You know, I think there's all sorts of things. Like, so one thing I would do, and I don't know if this is even possible, but I think this would be great, right? What if on opening day for a movie or opening weekend, every movie theater got a little Q&A live stream thing with the director right after, right? Like a 20-minute thing. And the director's like, you just watched this movie and thank you so much for your support. As a little extra treat for you, I'm now going to share some insights that are only going to be in this opening weekend version of the film. Let's talk about some interesting things that you might have missed from the movie. And, like, is that YouTube a little bit? Would that cut into, like, Paul from Heavy Spoilers? Maybe. But, I mean, think about it. Why aren't you seeing that this ancillary stuff is obviously valuable to the end user? Right? So, yeah, I think there's all sorts of... But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people that are in this industry are not... They're not thinking that way, and they're in a scarcity mindset, frankly, which I don't blame them. You know, like, it's hard to be in an industry that is literally in decline and not be a little bit, you know, fearful and scarce. But at the same time, like, they're not actually addressing the main problems. They're just trying to find ways to, like, cut corners. You know, it just doesn't feel like this is an industry that wants to step forward into the next version of what media consumption is. It feels like a dinosaur of an industry that's trying to just hold on to, like, the nostalgia that people have for it. And I think that's currently not working, you know? So it's priced, but it's not, it's priced because of value, you know? Jesse Pinkman says, AMC A-List is an incredible deal. 4 movies a week. Yeah, it's an incredible deal. And I don't know what the numbers are. I'm sure some people are taking advantage of it. But at the end of the day, why is even AMC A-List not making a massive impact on the industry? Well, it's probably because even 4 movies a week doesn't change what I just explained to you. It doesn't actually improve. Like, you're trying to get to value by cutting cost as opposed to just adding more value, right? But I totally get it. I think that's a good deal. And at least give AMC credit because they're trying things. They're trying. But I just think that... you know, maybe it's the theater owners themselves. Maybe it's distribution. I'm not sure what the exact hang up is, but yeah, not great. Jake Schreier confirmed as the X-Men reboot director. Yeah, we saw that in the article. That's pretty cool. I think it's a great pick. I think that's a great pick. In the UK, I pay $25 a month and get unlimited cinema trips at any cinemas at $25 off snags, which is really encouraging to go to the cinema. I agree, and I think that's great. I don't think it's solving the problem that I'm talking about, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's great, but that's like using coupons to get people into restaurants, as opposed to like, yo, this new restaurant opened. We need to go experience this. It's just different, you know? What TT should direct X-Men? Yeah, no thanks. Yeah, no thanks, man. Any chance 2028 spot could be World War Hulk movie based on the reports of the MCU wanting to return to Savage Hulk? I think Savage Hulk returns sooner than that, but maybe, yeah, maybe. Yeah, fair. Buy an additional ticket for the friend. Yeah, I mean, that's the same concept as like you give coupons out to restaurants because it makes people get in there and then you just try to upsell them, right? But again, like that doesn't feel great. You know, like that doesn't feel great. Can I be paid extra to allow the tase, the talkers, and phone people? Well, I mean, you know, you're joking, but wouldn't that be kind of interesting? I mean, that I know for sure that I've had my experience ruined by inconsiderate people quite a bit in the last 5 years. Part of the reason why I love going early in the day is because you can avoid that shit. But yeah. Let's talk about Black Panther, man. Do you guys mind if we talk a little bit about Black Panther? I want to find the actual clip, too, because I know he said that shit, but where? Is this it right here?
Cast as the next Black Panther. Have you had any conversations?
Oh, yeah, here we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about Black Panther, all right? So, Black Panther, very popular character, obviously. First movie, a freaking phenomenon, as we just talked about, and important. On top of that, you know, you see in Wakanda Forever, Marvel's sort of attempt to have their cake and eat it too. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the growing amount of fans that feel like it's ridiculous that we don't have T'Challa, male T'Challa, as the Black Panther. Okay? And I think what started out as maybe feeling like just some disgruntled fans kind of codified over time into what I would say is the majority of the fan base kind of coming around to this idea and being like, nah, like you need T'Challa. That's a very important character. That character needs to exist. You wouldn't not make Superman movies if Clark Kent passed, and we know that because we actually have examples of this. Christopher Reeves, the horse accident, and all that. Like, imagine if after Christopher Reeves had the accident, they were like, well, now there'll never be another Clark Kent Superman, but we'll do Jonathan Kent, and he'll come in and be Superman, and he's a Kent, you know, he's related to him and all that, right? So I say all of that to say that the fandom has sort of come around on this, and I think Marvel has tried to figure out and acquiesce. In Wakanda Forever, you see their attempt at this, and the attempt is that T'Challa now had a secret child that he at least raised partially on his own in secret, away from Wakanda. This child's name is Toussaint. Toussaint is now going to be T'Challa II, the male Black Panther. Now, frankly, a lot of people still don't like this. I don't like it. You know what I mean? Like, I might come around on it. I might accept it depending on how it's actually done. But, yeah, a lot of people saw that in Wakanda Forever, and they were like, like, that's just not good enough. You know, again, think about the Christopher Reeves example with Superman. That a lot of people did not like this. Now, interestingly, within the last year, Jeff Snyder, who, by the way, man, you know, Jeff had this big report of a page one rewrite on the Clayface movie. Gunn shot that down. Now, this is tricky for me because Gunn talks outside of both sides of his mouth. But, like, Jeff has kind of been caught with his fingers in the cookie jar over the past year quite a bit. Sometimes it's because he just doesn't know nerdy shit. So, like, here's a good example. Jeff had a really big report that Marvel was recasting T'Challa. This made major waves. And yet, at the same time, as he was reporting that, some other really good insiders came forward to say it is not a recast T'Challa. It is T'Challa II, or Toussaint, from the multiverse aged up. He will be the new Black Panther. Now, to Jeff, he might not care. He might not see the difference, but there's a big difference, and it really fucking matters. When Jeff made that report, a lot of people thought, oh my God, it finally happened. They're actually going to recast T'Challa. And people like Jeff might not think that there's a difference between recasting T'Challa proper or bringing in a new Black Panther that's technically his son, that's a variant that's maybe even going to be called T'Challa. But to a lot of us, that is a very important distinction, okay? So I say all of that to say that when Jeff had that report, it sort of brought this whole storm back up. It's kind of like kicking the hornet's nest in a way. Everybody was like, oh shit, okay, well, what does it mean? And again, though good reporting from reliable people, that Jeff tends to take shots at these people, and yet some of them have a better track record than him. It's wild to me, right? Regardless of all that, other people were saying it's not T'Challa, it's Toussaint. Okay, now the next thing that happened, of course, was the leaked concept art. Okay, the leaked concept art, which I gotta try to. Is somebody bringing it up in this thread? Oh yeah, beautiful. Here we go. The leaked concept art from this thread here, and I want to show you this. Okay, so sort of a side note to this story is that it is damn sure looking like those concept art leaks were real. Maybe not all of them will automatically reflect what's going to happen in the movie, but at this point, so much other stuff has popped up that seems to be confirmed from the concept art. You're like, whoa, what the hell? Okay, so this comes out, and there were several versions of this, which indicate that Marvel is trying different versions of the look of their new T'Challa. And because people saw this, and here's the thing, all of the other concept art that was in here reflect the actual actors that are in those roles. Okay? Another thing that people found within the leaks was like every single face in these leaks corresponds to an actual actor or actress, except for two. That would be this one with Black Panther, and the other one was Tommy Maximoff, a.k.a. Speed. Not I Show Speed, the character of Speed. So when we saw that, we were like, wow, that's kind of interesting. It almost seems like Marvel has cast both of these fucking characters already. Okay. Well, fast forward to yesterday, maybe 2 days ago at this point, actually, and Damson Idris, when asked if he had talks with Marvel Studios about playing the next Black Panther, he says yes and no. Well, let's play the actual clip here.
Panther. Have you had any conversations about that? Yes or no?
Yes, no.
By the way, the yes, no means yes.
Could mean no.
No, probably means yes. If they asked, would you say yes?
Yes.
Speculation out there in the universe that you could be cast as the next Black Panther. Have you had any conversations about that? Yes or no?
Yes, no.
I mean,
By the way, the yes, no means yes.
Could mean no.
No, probably means yes. If they asked, would you say yes?
Yes.
I like the energy, man. I like the energy. Like I just do. He seems like really engaged in the question, and there's that like aggressive like, I wonder what that aggressive like outburst means before he actually answers it. It almost feels like maybe he's frustrated because he wants it, but maybe there's something going on, right? Because we know he's not the only one, by the way. There were other people, including John Boyega, that did get approached by Marvel to potentially be the new T'Challa or the new Black Panther, right? Now, I wonder, and I'm way out there on this one, okay? But I wonder if that frustration has anything to do with all the other shit we just talked about, the distinction between T'Challa and T'Challa II. I wonder if he's interested and he wants to do it, but he actually wants to be T'Challa. Do you know what I mean? Like, not like the other. I don't know. I'm totally speculating on that. I just know it's something we really care about and think about as the fandom. But I'll say this. It absolutely seems as though he has been contacted. And considering how much he actually does look like the concept, because even in the interview, it's not like crazy similar, but a lot of his other like headshots and stuff, like, dude, I don't know. I mean, it looks pretty close to me. I know this guy looks like another actor. Somebody brought up there was a Nigerian guy that also looks very similar to this, but they have basically the same kind of like facial bone structure. And, you know, these concept art people, they're never like exactly on it, right? It's like a cartoon version of the person, right? So I don't know, man. This is quite interesting to me. And I guess it just goes back to like the same conversation we've been having for a couple of years. Let me just say this. My ultimate desire, my true hope here is that they just actually bring T'Challa back. The actual T'Challa, right? I want him to be actual T'Challa. He can be from the multiverse. You know, he could be from a prior version of the multiverse. There's so many different ways they could do this. But I want actual T'Challa back, okay? At the same time, if this is the way they're trying to do it, and they're really just trying to have their cake and eat it too, right? If I get a male Black Panther in the next two Avengers movies, potentially in the future of the MCU, and people refer to him as T'Challa, and he is the Black Panther, and he's a male dude, and he takes it seriously, and he really appreciates it, like, am I going to 100% love it? No. But am I going to let the fact that it's not exactly what I want to prevent me from enjoying the fact that I have a male T'Challa Black Panther back? No. I will enjoy having a T'Challa back. Like, I really think it's important. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag, and I think a lot of us will probably have mixed feelings about it. But in the saga that has been talking about, considering, hearing the different reports, you know, this big roller coaster ride that we've been on, because remember, a lot of us, we were not even down with Wakanda Forever. Let me just say this. I've watched that movie once. I cannot watch it again. I cannot watch Wakanda Forever again. It's no knock on Coogler. It's no knock on Marvel. I disagree with the decision to put the trauma of Chad's passing into the plot of that film. I just disagree with it. I'm not to the point where I'm going to call for, you know, people to be fired or make it into a big deal or like try to be a little bitch about it. But I'm just telling you, I cannot watch that movie again. And I think the fact that it made $500 million less than the first one sort of speaks to maybe other folks having a similar feeling, which is probably, let's be real, the only reason that Disney is even considering acquiescing to us in any particular way. You know, all that being said, I still think it's a positive move. I still think it's good. And I'm just going to try to support what happens while also not being shy and keeping like 10 toes down on how I feel about this and, you know, my thoughts on it. And I would urge you to do the same. You know, I would urge you to do the same. We don't have to be rude. We don't have to be little bitch boys about this. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with just being a man, standing up for what you believe in and vocalizing it with love and grace as much as you can. And at the end of the day, they are the gatekeepers. They have the keys. And all we can do is hope that we're heard in some way and that other people understand it. And, you know, who knows, man? Like, this guy could come out and say some really, like, eloquently put stuff that would maybe put our mind at ease. It's far too early to make a final judgment on any of this. But at the end of the day, you know, this is what we do. You know, we look at the news, we look at the current state of pop culture, and we just kind of give our takes, we yap about it, and then we argue about us what nerds do. So that's the latest. That is the new update with regards to the new Black Panther. Certainly made some noise on social media. Would love to know what you think about it. Let me know. How you feeling? How you feeling? Let me get catch some of these chats that flew by here. Dream Reader says Edie Gaethje is the actor portrayed in, I assume you mean the concept art. That's interesting. That might be the same actor that I was thinking of. Jesse Pinkman says Kirk Lazarus would crush as T'Challa. Absolutely. Maybe that's what they'll do. Kendall says with 5 spot, appreciate you. If they want to remember Chad by making his T'Challa's dad in the MCU, I'm cool. But I do want actual T'Challa. His parent's name ain't a big deal. Yeah, I mean, there's ways they could do it. Like, I wonder, man, why'd they make that Wonder Man show? But I also wonder, man, is Denzel playing a Black Panther? Imagine Black Panther 3 is Denzel as like an older Black Panther from somewhere in the multiverse. It would be Damson here as a sort of middle-aged Black Panther, and then you'd still have the young child Toussaint. I mean, that's a little weird at the same time because of the multiverse and also because of the spirit realm, you know, the ancestral plane. Something like that could be pretty wild, you know? It's almost like taking the T'Challa problem and kind of flipping it on its head, you know? Oh, well, we only want one T'Challa. It was just Chad? Well, what if we had, like, 5? You know? So, I don't know. Samuel, here I am with 5 spots, says, Josh, do you think the rumors about Doom is going to reincarnate Tony from Endgame? Doom will use Franklin to resurrect Wanda and Tony. I have not heard that exact rumor, but that would be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool. I mean, I think fans would freak out if that happened, to be honest. But, yeah, could be cool. Yeah. What else do you guys think about this? Before we move on, it's probably worth just taking a moment here to see what you think. 3 Black Panthers from 3 different points in time. That's what I'm saying. Like, that could be kind of interesting. It's challenging because it's one of those things that, like, I think would make certain people roll their eyes or whatever. But, yeah. Bro, Superman tracking at 90 on the low end. What? I mean, that's pretty much what I've been trying to say for the past couple of weeks. If that's officially out there, then cool. I have literally been trying to sort of say that that's what it is, you know? I think even last night on the stream, some people were, Grace just talked about it. Yeah, okay, let's talk about this. Breaking news, I guess. Let's talk about this a little bit here. So this is why you should listen to Papa Josh. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but toot fucking toot. I'm pretty good at what I do, and I tried to warn you guys that when the box office theory numbers came out, I tried to warn you that those were not real numbers, and that was not what it was. Okay? So we now have breaking news today from, let's see here, about 20 minutes ago. Superman hits tracking with 90 million to 125 U.S. opening. So let's give it a fair shake. Let's read the article and let's talk about it together. I will give you, of course, my take and why I still think this is good for Superman, despite what a lot of you might believe. Superman hits tracking with 90 to 125 million U.S. opening. Superman, the first movie under the DC Studios, headed by James Gunn and Peter Safran, arrived on tracking with a 145 outlook on NGR. I think that's like long range. However, various distribution sources believe the real range for the Gunn-directed movie is more in the 90 to 125 million vicinity. Because he's a brand name, Superman pops on unaided awareness. This is a really important point. I'm glad they brought this up. This is good reporting. That's the category where those moviegoers polled automatically cite a movie they want to see without being prodded by the pollster. With a 30 in unaided awareness, it's higher than Top Gun Maverick, which opened at 126.7. But what is the right comparison? It's better to look at First Choice, the definitively must-see category for those willing to get off the couch. In First Choice, Superman is below such post-COVID superhero movies as Thor: Love and Thunder, The Batman, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Trev, are you in here? And don't worry, I'm going to be nice, but Trev, are you in here? This is like exactly what we were trying to tell you last night in the member stream. People know about Superman. It doesn't necessarily mean they're activated by Superman. Different thing. here's the rub. First choice for Captain America Brave New World is higher than Superman's by 71% at the same point in time. Oh, no. That movie opened at $88.8 million. In addition, Superman's First Choice is 64% behind that of Matt Reeves' The Batman. Okay, that's a little concerning. We already told you that Superman is the best advanced ticket seller year to date in its first 24 hours. The Pix Amazon Prime early access paid screenings flying off Fandango's portal. Those screenings are on Wednesday, July 8th. They're Tuesday, right? They're Tuesday. Am I crazy? It's Wednesday? I thought it was Tuesday. 7 p.m. local time. 3 days before July 11th opening. I think it's Tuesday. Superman's pre-sales outstripped that of Disney Marvel's Fantastic Four First Steps. Sources say that when it comes to Superman's opening weekend outlook, it boils down to reviews. We also made this point. Yeah, deadline. You got to change this article, man. It's Tuesday. Okay, why this... sources say that when it comes to Superman box office, it boils down to reviews. We also made this point. Okay, why this film above all others, like Deadpool and Wolverine, in the post-pandemic landscape? Because everyone is familiar with Superman, and they'll make their decision to go based on strict word of mouth. Very important. While these tentpole movies begin their advanced drum rolls months in advance with trailer drops, Superman dropped its first teaser before Christmas. It's all big event movies. The majority of Superman's P&A spend, that's their advertising, maybe publishing and advertising, publicist advertising, will be the final days leading up to the opening. Superman, through 7 movies, not including Justice League, but definitely including BVS, has minted $2.56 billion at the global box office. Batman v Superman opened to $166 million, an Easter holiday record, and legged out to $330.3, 874 worldwide. 2013's Man of Steel opened to 116 and ended U.S.-Canada run 291 and 670 worldwide. Both those movies were directed by Zack Snyder. What a fascinating outlook here. And I wonder if Warner Brothers or James Gunn is going to get out there and flail about this. I would not recommend that. You do not want to look like you've looked in the past, frankly. Gunn, you should shut the fuck up. Just let this story, get out there. I think Gunn and Warner Brothers have already cushioned themselves a little bit because just the other day in the Rolling Stone article, Gunn said, we don't need to make all this money. I would be happy to make my budget back. By the way, he's fucking right about that. But it would be a mistake to get out here and try to fight against this narrative because at the end of the day, if you beat it, you beat it. Who cares? That'll be a great headline if you beat these expectations, right? So this is the reality of the tracking, okay? So with that in mind, let me explain why Brandon Davis is going to have to give me $500, okay? And the reason that Brandon Davis is going to have to give me $500 is because Superman has a couple of unique problems. Number one, it is held back by the DC brand. The degradation of the DC brand over the last 10 years has been something truly epic. I mean, consider this. How was a billion-dollar Joker movies sequel able to bomb so fucking spectacularly in the box office? I think part of why that is because that whole Joker phenomenon was a lot of people kind of reluctantly accepting this, legging that movie out over time because it had to overcome all of the brand damage that DC had over so many years. Literally. Okay? And I think that will affect Superman. So a whole bunch of people are aware of Superman. A whole bunch of people are fatigued on DC. A whole bunch of people don't know if they can trust this. On top of that, the whole industry is in decline, as we've talked about, right? They don't have massage chairs that jerk you off in the theater, so nobody's going to the theaters. Sorry, that was probably super inappropriate. Sorry, Mom. Yeah, the industry's lagging. The industry's in massive decline that nobody really wants to talk about, but it's really, really bad. Comic book movies, the comic book movie genre is in massive fucking decline. Massive decline. Okay? On top of that, Superman has a 2-week window to make its money before Fantastic Four comes in and cuts its legs off because There's just no way around it. That movie will do a massive damage to the legs of Superman. How much damage? We are not sure. But the tracking for Fantastic Four will probably come out in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be higher than this. Okay? So somehow, some way, Fantastic Four has like more hype, more interest, more of a buildup. I don't even fully understand it, right? It's probably just off of the legs of the success of the MCU and a bunch of boomers like me that saw Endgame 5 times in theaters. We're going to show up regardless. All the Marvel movies are front-loaded. All of them now. You know what I'm saying? So you take into account the front-loading of the comic book movies, the fatigue of DC, the fatigue of the genre, the declining interest. This movie has 2 weeks to make money before Fantastic Four comes in and shits on its chest. And the truth is, that's going to be a big statement shit. And it's going to linger on there for the rest of its theatrical run. And Fantastic Four does not have any serious competition for the rest of the fucking summer. Fantastic Four has the crown jewel spot out of all these movies we've been talking about. It has the best spot, serious lack of competition. So, by the way, I said this before we had these numbers, and a lot of you, I think it was even Monday of this week I said this, and a lot of you were like, Cope lies, he's wrong, he's gonna, RIP his wallet. I saw all of them, and I stayed strong. Because I'm very good at what I do. Now, that's not to say that this couldn't go a different way. It's possible it exceeds expectations. Here's the biggest factor. Here's the biggest fucking factor of this whole thing. The reviews. The reviews for this Superman movie, that week, the reviews, the audience score, the word of mouth, it's the whole game. It's the whole ball game. Because I think what Superman would need to beat Fantastic Four is like a super small drop off from weekend 1 to weekend 2. Okay, so if this thing comes out and it has this kind of a performance, which is still, you're still probably looking at like a 250 plus worldwide take, maybe even close to 300. It depends on how the international markets respond, right? And they have been a little soft on Marvel. We'll see if they're soft for DC. This movie needs a really strong opening weekend, which would be aided by the RT scores. And then it needs an incredible hold into week 2. Like, you're talking about like a 30% drop off or something. If that happens and Fantastic Four gets hit with like bad critic, bad word of mouth, and it doesn't leg out as much, that could absolutely happen. It's not impossible. I just don't see it happening. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Fantastic Four is going to outperform this movie. Now, having said that, I still think both films are going to be kind of soft, dude. I think both movies are going to be soft. You're probably talking about one getting to like 6, 7, one getting to like 8, 9, maybe. I still think both of these films are going to be super soft. But the difference will be there's just better general audience trust with Marvel over DC and the legs. Fantastic Four just doesn't have the competition. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is. So there you have it, guys. Officially in the Hollywood trade. Sorry to burst your bubble, Superman fans. I did try to warn you, though. It wasn't what it seemed, And the box office theory numbers, man, some of y'all grabbed onto that shit way too hard. And I told you, they're not very good over there. I'd probably wait for official tracking. So anyway, there you go. We'll see. Game on. I want both movies to do well. I'm trying to be clear here. I want both movies to do well. I just need Fantastic Four to make $1 more. And then we're all good. Then we're all good. So there you go. There you have it. There's the report. What do you guys think, man? Are you shocked? Be honest. Are some of you guys shocked by these numbers? It's okay. You know what I mean? Like, I've been shocked several times this year. But, yeah, what do you think? Baby Bird says, saw Secret Mall apartment in Providence, Rhode Island. The creator and director did a quick and awesome. It was worth the experience. Great documentary. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll check that out. Can you send me a DM about that? I'm not exactly sure what you're saying, but it sounds interesting. Mr. Jazz 212, thank you for the 5-spot, brother, says, when you get time, you should check out a few episodes of Snowfall and then watch F1 to see Damson's acting chops. Bro is an actor's actor. I mean, I've seen some bits and clips here and there, and he seems like he's got chops, serious chops. Which, of course, that's what you want, right? You know, we want our T'Challa. We want all of our Marvel characters to be played by people that got chops. You know? Okay, let's see here. I'm a little bit surprised, but at least the Fantastic Four will do really good. I mean, I think both films will do just fine. When you look at the industry overall, you're going to be like, yeah, that's fine. But I still think it's not going to perform the way we expect because the industry is in just such a decline. As a person from a generation that favored Spider-Man/Batman, it's hard to see people try to make Superman bigger than what he is outside of the Snyder impact. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, like, here's something that's kind of uncomfortable about Superman. A lot of Superman fans did not like what Zack did with Superman, and yet he had the most successful Superman movies. And I think if you look at, like, The Boys and Invincible, it's pretty obvious that darker, edgier Superman works. Okay? Now, I totally fucking respect Gunn's ability. And I love the gumption to be like, no, I want to do traditional Boy Scout Superman. But there's not a lot of evidence in the modern era that actually works with audiences. Do you know what I mean? So, in a sense, Gunn could be planting his flag on a hill in a losing battle. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, just food for thought. You know what I mean? But he did have the most successful Superman movies. He did not. No, he definitely did. I mean, if you take inflation from like the 70s, you could argue that those movies were more successful. You could maybe make an argument that they're more impactful. But in the modern era, because I don't even like this whole inflation argument. I think it's silly. In the modern era, he absolutely has the most successful Superman movies. What did Superman Return make? You know what I mean? Like, unless I'm crazy, Donner is bigger. Donner's movies are bigger when you account for inflation. Yeah. Absolute Superman rules. Dude, it's cool. It's a good book. Donner is bigger, bro. Well, again, only if you account for inflation, right? I mean, did any of the Donner movies make 670, 700 million worldwide? I don't think so. If I'm wrong, drop a link into the chat. BVS at 850 million is the most successful Superman movie ever. And yet it was still considered a failure. Isn't that ironic? Josh only reads the chats that I autocorrect. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so that's what I mean. Baby Bird, I didn't quite understand what you were saying. It sounded like you were excited about it. Is it supposed to say Q&A at the theater? Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. You missed my T'Challa super chat, I think. Well, brother, can you just throw it into the chat right now? Like, I could try to scroll up, but I told people I'm not trying to go all the way back on super chats anymore. Like, and I'm not trying to be rude. It's just not a good flow for the stream. You know, it's like, I appreciate it. I guarantee you the super chat was seen by like 1,000 people in the chat. But just throw it back into the chat right now, and I'll try to address it, knowing that you paid for it earlier. Is that fair, chat? Is that okay? Can we do it that way, or everybody wants to jump down my throat? Let me know. Inflation is real. I mean, yeah, it is, for sure. Oh, 964. Sorry, Daniel. It's not 1,000. The exit says, gotcha, 1 sec. I'm thinking, what if T'Challa is important to stopping Doom and maybe he's behind the mystery illness that... Whoa. I like that, brother. I like that. I think that's... So, chat, what he's saying is, what if they made T'Challa, the death of T'Challa, somehow involved in Doom, where, like, there's a part of us that's starting to think whether it was Kang or Doom, there was all sorts of shady stuff going on in the timelines that was probably by design. And I do like where your head is at with that. You know, that could be cool to connect that to Doom, the overall plan. Yeah, that'd be fun. Tom Holland says with a 10 spot, I think we might be overselling how important F4 is to normies, and I don't think people generally get how important Doom is to Marvel. Maybe. I mean, but it's hard for me to agree with that when the Downey video is in the top 10 of Instagram videos of all time. Gunn talked about Superman's imprint with the trailer, and it was impressive. The imprint of Downey back as Doom shook the entire internet. So are we really trying to make the argument that, like, normies don't know about Doom and how important he is to Marvel? Oh, they literally brought RDJ back as Doom. I think that's the only fucking things the normies know right now, frankly, is that Doom is really important. I don't know how well F4 will actually do in theaters because of this. Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I think, here's what I would say. The first part of your statement is more fair than the other. We actually have evidence that the Fantastic Four movies don't do very well because they've tried it a bunch. They tried two in 2005, 2007, or 8. They tried the 2015, 2014 one with Josh Trank. I mean, they've tried, and it's failed many times. So you actually have evidence to suggest that, like, that's a tough one to sell. But the difference is, like, it's Marvel, you know, you've got Pedro. Everybody seems to fucking love Pedro. You've got Galactus, Silver Surfer. Like, dude, I don't know. I mean, I think, and I continue to believe that all Feige has to do is just tease that Doom is in the post-credit scene and it's over for Superman. That's my opinion. They kind of did that with the screening a couple of weeks ago, right? But I mean, if they put it on Front Street, I mean, we'll see. I think Marvel knows their own audience and potentially, I mean, that's a weird thing to say because I think they've lost a lot of their audience, but they seem to at least be aware of how certain things can get parts of the audience activated. Like looking at Deadpool and Wolverine, it's almost like a reverse engineered hit. Do you know what I mean? So we'll see. I understand what you're saying though. Elijah says that a 5 spot. Oh no, I missed it. What about the real possibility that Superman has some weird cringe scenes that go viral in a bad way and Superman bombs and Gunn gets wrecked on Twitter? I actually think there's a pretty low possibility of that happening. I think it's already happening in a sense. And look, the Snyder bros are not going to want to hear this, but I think they've actually damaged the impact that their own shit has on pop culture because they're so fucking ridiculous. They take every little thing. Like, I'm sorry, when you're pausing the Superman trailer to look at individual frames and you're like, his cape is technically not in this one frame, you're losing. And so I think the Snyder people have actually done a disservice to their own point. Like, if they just kind of fell back a little bit more and were just like, I just disagree with what Gunn is doing with Superman and just tried to make it more like a philosophical argument, people wouldn't roll their eyes at them as much. They've been so ridiculous in their own right that I think they've hurt. It's like crying wolf, brother. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. But I think what could be worse, right, is that a bunch of normal-ass dudes are just like, yeah, I heard the Superman movie was goofy. Like, dead ass, that will hurt Superman more than anything that Snyder Bros are doing on Twitter. If real-life motherfuckers are telling their real-life friends Superman movie was okay or the Superman movie was goofy, because think about what we just had a conversation about. We just had a conversation that going to the movie theaters feels like a fucking chore, right? So how much do you really have to affect a person's perception of a film to get them to just wait for streaming? Brother, that has never been a smaller margin. That's why the industry's getting fucked, right? So with that in mind, the smallest amount of, yeah, it's okay, will have a massive effect in the actual word of mouth for the film. And conversely, on the other side of that, if Superman is really, really fun, all you will need is like the barbershop crew or, the water cooler talk or, the Uber driver. You just need some motherfucker in your life that's like, yo, that new Superman movie was really cool. The flying was dope, dude. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. So I think I don't think that's possible in the way you're describing it, Elijah, but sure. I mean, could the movie bomb? Yeah. Tom Holland, appreciate you, man. Hey, Tom, can I just say, too, I'm so sorry about all the shit I talked about Bureau, man. If you want to be lame as hell and not do drugs and drink, it's totally your prerogative. You know what I mean? And I should not have attacked you on that because there's plenty of other stuff to attack you on. You're short and British. So I'm sorry. Anyway, I think the fact that we've had 2 other theatrical adaptations will actually help this film due to the normies accepting it with, am I making sense? Outside of that, I don't know how popular the F4 is. I think I kind of understand what you're saying, where you're like, yeah, but doesn't that, even those movies that didn't succeed, isn't that an imprint? Like, isn't that somewhat social proof or like people are familiar with the characters? Possibly, brother. You know what I mean? Like, possibly. But I think that, so I heard it described one time, which, by the way, I should tweet about this Superman stuff. I'm not going to tag Brandon. I'm going to be nice. I told you guys, I'm nice. It's a new year. It's a new me. I'm getting that 500, baby. Okay. Anyway, I think it's just as possible, though, that people just have like a bad impression of it. But it's very similar to the Superman stuff. I mean, frankly, like even Zack's stuff was kind of, divisive and not everybody fucked with it, especially once it got real silly and goofy, right? I don't know. It's hard to say. F4 marketing has so insanely effective for normies lately. It seems like it is. I just don't know. I mean, I think it's actually gonna be close. Like, I don't think, let me tell you this. If F4 comes out with tracking and it's like towards 200, that would shock me. I don't expect that. I expect Fantastic Four to be very similar to this. The difference is the legs. Right? Didn't you go off on Trev yesterday? No, I was super chill. I went off on Trev on Tuesday. I was super chill with Trev yesterday. I can handle Trev 99 times out of 100. I know, the thing is, the truth is, Trev irritates me because he's a lot like me. So I totally get it. He's pedantic, he's vocal, he wants to fucking let you know. I'm the same way, 99 times out of 100, I can accept Trev's comments and let it roll right off. But every once in a while, I'm going to crash the fuck out on that Canadian motherfucker. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But no, I did not lose it on him yesterday. No. Yeah. So I think both of them are going to be pretty close, to be honest. Yeah. That's just my take on it. I can't wait for Red Josh with his $500 tantrum. Oh, dude, I'll be so mad if I lose. I'm going to be so mad. But I'll also be very, very happy if I win. So that's why we gamble, baby. Add a little spice to it. Yeah. Only good thing from Canada is bacon. Yeah, there's some good things in Canada. You know what I mean? It's just I just like freedom and all that. So different strokes, different folks, Okay, so that's kind of crazy, guys. That kind of came out of nowhere. Glad to be able to break that down live for you guys. I'd like to talk about the Doctor Doom rumors if we can, and then probably just get on out of here. Like I said, I have to go over to the new studio and take a peek over there. So I'd like to get into that conversation if we can. Are you guys cool with that? You guys cool with that shit, man? You guys chill with all that? Oh my God, this curl won't cooperate. Boom, put it back up there. You guys cool with this? Are you guys good with moving on? 5 big booms for Superman? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Stream tomorrow. Stream tomorrow. It's always stream more, stream more. It's never, hey, go work on your mental health, get a workout, and enjoy time with your family. No, it's never that. It's just stream more, more. Holy. Are we getting the nerdy news rundown? I hope so, man. I hope so. More Warhammer? I'm down. Okay, I'm going to get into this, guys. Let's talk about this. Potential spoiler warning here. I don't think it's going to be too crazy, though. It's all speculative at this moment. But we're talking about Doctor Doom. Talking about RDJ Doctor Doom. We're talking about Fantastic Four and just generally what's going on with Marvel, okay? So, title of this article is The Avengers Doomsday. And this is comicbookmovie.com, just so everybody knows. I know somebody was asking me the other day, like, what's that article or whatever? Comicbookmovie.com says here, The Avengers Doomsday Doctor Doom from the Fantastic Four reality? ? We may have an answer. Spoilers. So, it says here, the Fantastic Four First Steps is set in a parallel reality to and features a version of Marvel's First Family that hails from a retro futuristic New York City inspired by the 1960s. The team will be front and center in Avengers Doomsday, and the expectation is that they'll become a permanent part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe post Secret Wars. We just talked about that. Potentially, well, not potentially. The trades literally said that there is a sequel to the Fantastic Four in development. Kind of interesting, okay? So, it says here, we don't know exactly what the MCU will look like after that movie, speaking of Secret Wars, but the Cosmic Circus, Alex Perez, believes the 1960s aesthetic will be one and done. The Scooper claims to have heard great things about the Fantastic Four First Steps, and while that's good to hear, fans remain anxious about how these heroes will fit into the wider MCU. For starters, there's the Doctor Doom of it all. He's a Fantastic Four villain, first and foremost, who has a storied history of the team, and more specifically, Reed Richards. However, it sounds like Avengers Doomsday could be the first time he, Sue, Ben, and Johnny encounter Victor Von Doom. So, here's what Alex said here. He said, I'm not sure he is from their universe, Perez states. Mainly because we don't get a single inkling of detail that proves that they know who Victor Von Doom is in their universe during the Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, I will speak to some things I heard about the movie, and I'll talk about that in a second because I don't think it's... there's something in the movie, but we'll talk about it in a moment. It makes sense that Doom doesn't hail from the same reality as the Fantastic Four, especially in terms of his appearance and plans for the multiverse. If what we've been hearing is accurate, the villain's home has already been destroyed. However, Avengers Doomsday, being where Mr. Fantastic and Dr. Doom cross paths for the first time, is a little disappointing. Marvel Studios could have done with maybe one more movie featuring the team to establish Doom before he takes the center stage of the 2-part multiversal saga, but it wasn't meant to be. With Doom being the last-minute pivot from Kang the Conqueror, though, that was always going to be wishful thinking. New merchandise for the Fantastic Four First Steps have been revealed, and you could check it out below. Now, there is some Doctor Doom stuff in the official merchandise, which is weird. Set with a vibrant backdrop of the 1960s inspired retro... Oh, this is just all blah, 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 right? Yeah, so that's all the blah, blah, blah. Okay, now let's talk specifically about this. So Alex is saying a couple of things. He's saying, number one, that the universe that the Fantastic Four are from is probably going to be a one and done. Now, that's likely because that universe will be destroyed. Now... originally, we had heard that it was going to be destroyed in the film, and that the Fantastic Four themselves would leave that universe and come into 616. I have been told that is no longer in the movie, that they have changed it, and they want a happier ending for the movie, where they basically just all work together and beat Galactus. Yeah, they might even send Galactus to another universe, to be honest. And so, that's an established thing, right? But what I heard was... they've changed it, and now Doom will destroy that universe in Doomsday. Okay? So that's pretty crazy. So maybe that's why it's one and done. it's also likely one and done because their next two appearances are going to be in Doomsday, which probably takes place mostly on 616, and then in the X-Men universe of 10005. And then there will be in Secret Wars, which will see the entire multiverse collapsed into a singular universe. Then you're going to get a soft rebooted MCU, and the Fantastic Four are very likely to just be a fixture in the new 616, okay? Are you following along? Is this a little confusing, chat? You know what I mean? Like, this is probably why they're not going to do a Secret Wars Part 2. Because this shit is already confusing as fuck, right? But that's what we think is going on, okay? Now, I had always thought Doom was not from this Fantastic Four universe, okay? And in fact, according to a lot of the rumors and the things the scoopers were saying, I started to believe that Doom was very likely from the actual version of 616 before He Who Remains turned it into the sacred timeline, okay? Now, a couple other things we got to keep in mind here because we are in a place where we're definitely speculating. However, there's a lot of stuff we do know, okay? From reliable folks. It could change, but from reliable folks, okay? So, we know that the MCU is on a loop. This was something that was first reported by Paul from Heavy Spoilers years ago. Okay, years ago. But it was corroborated recently by a couple other scoopers that are saying that the MCU is essentially on a loop. And doesn't it make sense? I mean, that's what He Who Remains says at the end of Loki, right? He basically says, no matter what you do, we're going to end up back here. There will be all of my variants. There will be a multiversal war. I will end the multiversal war, and I will establish the new sacred timeline. That's the loop. That's what we're on. And by the way, the sacred timeline is literally a loop, which I think is kind of funny. They were like trying to show us pretty obviously what it was. In Paul's old report, back when it was going to be the Kang dynasty, he had said that we would get a variant of Kang that was him basically going through the loop for the first time. The reincarnated He Who Remains going through the loop for the first time and potentially actually being heroic until maybe flipping and becoming villainous or something. But so that was really interesting. Obviously, that's no longer happening. It seems like they've taken Kang out of the picture. However, with Kang now out of the picture, are we now free of the loop? Or are we just free of Kang's involvement in the loop? It kind of seems like we're still headed towards a multiversal war. We're still headed towards a resetting of the universe. It is a loop still. We just hope that this time it's a little bit different, okay? Now, going back to some much older reporting from Alex Perez and Daniel RPK, it did seem like Doom was probably from a different, or from the original universe before He Who Remains started the loop, okay? And it was described, I believe Alex described it as Doom feels like He Who Remains only cares about the sacred timeline and basically discards all other timelines. That could include the original version of 616. And I had this thought while I was thinking about this, where, you know, we have X-Men universes. It really does seem like this X-Men Utopia universe in Secret Wars is going to be like an X-Men Utopian universe, okay? And then you have this Fantastic Four Utopian universe. Then you seem to have an Illuminati universe, 838, which is a Utopian universe that involves a lot of the same characters, okay? And I started to think back to this whole fixed moment in time situation, or like the canon event, or the fact that, you know, Doc Strange couldn't save Rachel McAdams in the What If show, right? It seems like there are confines. If you look at the sacred timeline in Loki, it's actually several timelines all kind of woven together, right? And so what I'm starting to believe is that Kang probably realized he can't make the multiverse without the X-Men. He can't make the multiverse without the Fantastic Four. There is an aspect of them that is somewhat eternal, or perhaps connected to eternity, quite literally. And so therefore, there were just things that were always going to happen, just like the canon events, just like the fixed moments in time, all of these different concepts. And so what Kang potentially did was take the characters that he knew he couldn't eliminate, and instead of destroying them, isolate them from each other. Is that potentially why the X-Men are in this particular universe and the Fantastic Four are in this particular universe? Okay. So let's go back to what Alex said about he's not sure that Doom is from their universe. Well, I know that there's a scene in the Fantastic Four movie, at least there was in the screening that happened a couple of weeks ago when I was in New York. There's a scene where the world leaders are gathered. It's a UN type situation. I've actually heard this scene described two different ways, which shows you like, I mean, it kind of shows you like the game of telephone that we play when people are trying to remember and then they say it a certain way or whatever. I've actually heard this scene described in two different ways from two different people. But the one thing that they both said happened is that you look at all these different screens with all these world leaders and all these chairs, and the one for Latveria is empty. Okay? But other than that, zero reference to Victor, no discussion of him. It's not like there's a moment in the movie where Reed is like, if only my old college pal Victor were here, we'd solve this problem. Zero of that, from what I understand. And I think that's what Alex is saying. He's like, I'm not sure if he's from their universe, mainly because we don't get a single inkling of detail that proves that they know who Victor Von Doom is in their universe. Okay? So, what I think could be happening here, and this would be so wild if it was true, is Doom and the X-Men, these things could not be eliminated from the timeline. And so, what He Who Remains did was set up separate timelines to isolate these characters from each other to better control them so that when the inevitable, because remember it's a loop, when the inevitable multiversal war happened, he'd be able to prune all those excess things and just focus on the sacred timeline. And therefore, you know, the X-Men aren't really going to be a threat. Dr. Doom's not going to be really a threat. Like a lot of things won't be a threat, okay? I still think this opens up the door for Doom. And basically, like, so I have this long-standing theory that what they're going to do is retcon Tony Stark from the Infinity Saga, and they're going to make it so Tony was actually Victor Von Doom that gets adopted. Okay? And so in the sacred timeline, in order to prevent Victor from being in that timeline, they do some shenanigans and make that variant adopted by the Starks and raised by the Starks, okay? Now, that theory's really wild. We don't know if that's true. There's some evidence. I like the theory, but it's just a theory. We don't know if it's true, okay? But maybe what happens is the variant of Victor in the Fantastic Four universe begins to understand what the reality really is, which there's all sorts of ways you could do this. Time travel, multiversal travel, magic, traveling to talk to Mephisto or some shit. Like, there's all sorts of stuff that Doom could do to figure this out, okay? So what if Doom realizes, number one, that all the realities don't matter, including the one that he is living in, and yet the Doom in the sacred timeline, the one that, like, matters, was made to be a hero. And that would be, like, really gross, and it would be shocking. Or that Doom was plucked out of the original sacred timeline, and then he was placed into the reality with the Avengers. And what if this connects to, like, anchor beings? You know what I mean? Like, there could be a lot that they're cooking sort of outside of this. But I wanted to bring it up because just a week ago or whatever, I thought, because of the scene with the Latveria thing, I thought it was kind of hinting that Doom was from that universe. And yet, I think Alex brings up a fair point. There's no details that prove that they know who he is. Now, there's one last thing we got to talk about here, and that's the post-credit scene. Because in the post-credit scene, this is big-time spoilers, but in the post-credit scene, Victor shows up, takes off his mask, and he's there holding Franklin in front of Sue. Okay? We don't fully know what this is. We don't fully understand what it means or whatever, but there's no clear evidence that Sue recognizes him. It's not like we know for sure that Sue's like, oh my God, Victor, where have you been? Or anything like that. So it's possible they have no experience with him whatsoever, which would be very chilling. Like, it would be so chilling if Doom understood everything and everybody, and yet all of the people around him don't really know what's going on. They don't recognize him. They don't understand what he's about, you know? So, depending on how that scene goes, we'll either then understand that Doom is somewhat of an anomaly and is not connected to this universe, or he is from that universe and had left a long time ago to explore the multiverse, etc., etc. So, yeah, we don't know for sure, but I wanted to bring this up because it kind of gives my theory a little bit more life. It sort of shifts the conversation from, oh, he was just from that universe, to potentially something much more interesting. And I think that's good, because I would prefer it to be much more interesting. I'm going to be a little bummed if Doom just happens to look like Downey and there's no explanation, and then there's no, like, real depth to the character. He's just Doom from this universe that does Doom shit. Not good enough for me. So I'm hoping that it's more complex, that it's more sophisticated. And that's why I like the theory. That's why I like some of these other things that the Scoopers have been talking about too. So there you have it. Big time rumors, big time conversations out there about Dr. Doom and the Fantastic Four. What do you guys think, man? Like, what do you guys think? This is a wild one. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Mr. Jazz says, I agree with you, but why would they, Marvel, make an F4 universe with no Doom? Reed and Doom have to have that history. Kind of confusing, to be honest. Yeah. So let me address this a couple ways. I think the reason they are doing this other universe is because they want to establish these characters outside of the main universe, either because it's just too restricting, or because what they're cooking with Doom and Battleworld and all of that is multiversal. So it's actually appropriate to sort of set the table for the audience with an alternate universe story. Which one of those sounds more likely, right? Because you're right, it is confusing. But the only way you justify that confusing plot is if it actually helps make the even more confusing shit, which is coming in the next two Avengers movies, more understandable. Do you know what I'm saying? So I totally get what you're saying, but I think you might actually have the solution, like right there. Let's see here. James Parsley, appreciate the 5, says, Josh, I love you and your content, but I absolutely hate your theory. Hope it doesn't happen, and I think it would upset Iron Man fans. Certainly would me. Yeah, of course. I mean, dude, totally understand it, man. It's a massive retcon. I mean, you guys should see. So I don't know if, maybe I don't like talk about it as much because Iron Man's been dead for so long, but I'm a massive fucking Iron Man fan, dude. I have a literal shrine in the living room of all my favorite Iron Man figures. I just bought another one. Like, dude, I love Iron Man. And what Downey did with Iron Man is seminal, bro. Like, he took us to church for 10 years, basically. And that the whole reason we're all here is kind of because of him and that character. I totally get it. It would be insane. But I respect swinging for the fences, man. I think you've got to go for greatness, and you got to go for greatness now. And technically, you can't do something that's bold and novel without upsetting some people. Like, that's just what it is, right? So I totally get all of your trepidation, all of your worry, totally understandable. I've just kind of landed on this as like the best version of what they're doing, because they're doing it. Downey is back as Doom, period. So how do you square that circle is my question. And is it really better if he just looks like him? Is it really better if he just uses his face? I don't think so. But, you know, you can feel how you feel. Mr. Penguin says with a $20 holla, holy shit, that's very generous, man. I'm getting 2 McDonald's meals today. Do you think the problem that James Gunn is having with his Batman is Robin part of the story and trying to be a serious story with Robin and not wanting to be too much like Matt Reeves' Batman? Maybe. I mean, I don't think Gunn is cracking that story at all. Like, I think Gunn has considerations that he wants for the overall aesthetic of the DCU, but he's not writing Batman. I would imagine the real crux of the problem with Batman is Matt Reeves and the success of his Batman movie and the Penguin show. Like, that's what it is. Like, if those movies and shows didn't exist, I don't know that we'd be having the same problems we're having with Batman. if Gunn was writing it himself, like, sure, I can understand what you're saying a little bit more, because he would be fighting against like his own wheelhouse, his own sensibilities, and then what he thinks is right for the character. But again, like, dude, I'm going to give him credit. I think he knows he's not the right guy for it. So that's why he's bringing somebody else in. I don't think of that as an L. I think of that as a W. Like, that's like, good job, James. You know what I mean? Mr. Jazz says, appreciated the 5 spot. Maybe Pedro's Reed doesn't know Doom, but he meets the other Reeds who do and already have a past with him. Thoughts? Yeah, that's one way to do it. The other way is Pedro knows him and is lying to everybody. Because what if Pedro's from that original 616 as well? That would be cool, dude. Again, it's a little wild, it's a little crazy, but I'd be kind of down. I don't mind it coming through the, what's it called? The multiverse, the Council of Reeds or whatever. Like, totally, man. Totally. That could be really cool, too. The Exodus says, with a 5 spot, appreciate you, brother. Tony takes the Tesseract from 1970. That branch reality with the broken flow of time due to a missing stone causes his unborn variant to become Doctor Doom. Yeah, totally could be. That is absolutely possible, man. Something else I was thinking about was, what if Doom goes into 616 and he starts using time travel to create branch timelines? That's kind of like what the Maker did in the new Ultimates universe. So it's kind of like this. The Maker studies 616, and then he figures out how to make a branch timeline of 616, and then, knowing everything he knows about it, he manipulates events, like prevents Peter Parker from getting bitten by the spider when he's a kid, prevents Banner from, he just prevents a lot of stuff, right? So imagine you're Doom, okay? Imagine you're Doom, and you realize that the multiverse is a lie, and that the main universe, the most persistent one, it literally turned you into a hero, all kinds of shadiness. What would you do? Well, here's one thing you might do. What if you decided you're going to go back and take branch timelines and turn all of the heroes into villains? Now, I've talked about this a little bit before because I love this idea. But like, okay, so you're Doctor Doom. You come into 616. You realize your variant's dead. You go all the way back in time to when he's adopted. You wipe out his parents. You tell him the truth, and you let him just become Doom. Then you go into where friggin' Captain America is. And then you wipe out Red Skull. You give Captain America the Tesseract, and you explain that the world, it would be better off if Captain America took over Hydra for the Red Skull. And then you go to Natasha, and you find the most vulnerable moment of Natasha, and you say, you know what, Natasha, you were right. And the world will be better if you become the Red Widow. Like, do you know what I mean? That would be so cool. And it would be a cool way to sort of have some of the fun we have in the Infinity Saga, where, like, when you do the time heist, it's like this really fun way to go back and revisit all the nostalgic moments from the Infinity Saga catalog. Well, you could do the same thing with Doom, by revisiting all of these major moments from the Infinity Saga catalog, and then Doom changes the events to create specific variants and recruit them as his evil generals. Like, holy, like, that would be cool. There's not a lot of evidence that that's what's going on, but, like, that'd be sweet, dude. So... was Natasha also on the Thunderbolt soccer team? That's actually a good question. I don't know. Maybe. I do not know. I do not know. Maybe. Let's get Victor right. RDJ and Feige. Yep. They did say that. They did have that discussion. Yep. Sounds like the Kang story with Iron Lad. It is similar. Yeah, it is. Still, it's going to be Legacy and Red Hulk first up to bat against Doom. That'd be kind of cool. Go back and tell the Pims, this movie's going to be horrible, right? Yeah. What about the droid attack on the Wookiees? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. John's Honest Takes says, our theories have always been better than reality. Hope that changes with F4 and beyond. Yeah, you're not wrong. I've talked about this in other videos too. I think part of the reason that fan theories are usually better than what Marvel does is like fans are just thinking of like the coolest, best version of it. And Marvel is thinking, how can we take the coolest, best stuff and make it last for 5 years? Like, I truly believe that. Like, I truly believe Feige sits there. And look, maybe that's just what you got to do in his position. I hate it, and I think this is the main thing they have to change. But Feige's sitting there thinking, like, well, if I give him all the goods in this movie, what's going to get him to the next film? And so he thinks about these really cool ideas, and he's like, yeah, but let's just tease it out a little more. Let's just tease it out a little bit more. I think that's a losing strategy. So I think they need to just go. Like, just go for it. But not everybody agrees, you know? Yeah. She declined the symbolic credit for the Thunderbolts. Yeah, true. I hope Doom has that comic parallel with killing Thanos. That would be very cool. It's a great, iconic moment. 100%. What if Ultron's personality could be based off Doctor Doom's? Because Stark, dude, now you're doing, that's some crazy shit. But you're right. That is wild to think about. MCU forever has been very anti-nerd. They want grandparents, parents, and kids all to go to the movies. Yeah, they're definitely normie friendly. But I also think that you have to give them credit because, like, when I was a kid or even just growing up, like, dude, nobody knew who Thanos was. Like, you could say Thanos and people would be like, what? Now Thanos is, like, Darth Vader recognizable. So, like, even people that aren't necessarily watching all the Marvel movies, they will make Thanos jokes and like refer to Thanos in pop culture. And that's a W. Like, that's crazy because that's just that was so far away from reality. And they did that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, they're definitely normie friendly, but they also got normies to be like, yeah, Thanos. Like, what? I know your work revolves around it, but if you could snap your fingers and take away the leaks, since it makes it difficult to subvert expectations anymore in theaters. Nah, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I think some of the scoopers got a little out of pocket. Like, I think one of the problems with the scoopers, and I actually talked to some of them about this, was like, you don't need to like step in and correct everyone. Like, if a little leak happens and then some people start speculating, like, you don't need to come in and rain on their parade and be like, that's not what it is. Like, allow fans. That's where it gets fucked because speculation, fan theory, that's fun. But when you start trying to control the narrative so much so that you're like, oh, actually, it's this. And then it's like, oh, shit, I guess we can't have fun anymore because it's this. That's the problem, right? And I think some of them have held back on that a little bit, but, yeah. Or change it because it gets leaks. Yeah, that's possible as well. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yep. Okay, any other thoughts, comments, questions, concerns? What else is on your mind, guys? I'm probably going to get on out of here. That's a big old juicy stream for you, though. A lot of stuff. We got into a lot today. Holy, we got into a lot today, huh? Blade is awake in Marvel Rivals. Does this mean he's going to get back in action? Yeah, hopefully, right? The movie's going back. Yeah. How are we feeling about Ironheart? Pretty indifferent. I might check out some of the episodes. A lot of people said you at least got to watch the last couple, so maybe. It's really not doing anything for me, to be honest. So, yeah. Josh needs a meeting with Marvel. No, I don't. I mean, it would be cool. I would love to talk to some of those guys. I've talked to Marvel writers before, but nah, man. I mean, like, you know, I would appreciate it and all that, but at the same time, like, they're in their lane, you know, I'm in my lane. It's all good. Oh, yeah? Got you to say the holy thing? It is one of my favorite things to say. Holy. I just like saying it. Josh would pitch them Warhammer. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. FF have 2 end credit scenes still? I believe so. Nothing is certain until they start, locking picture or whatever. But yeah. Holy banana nut muffin on a Sunday morning. Yeah, it's one of my favorites too. Yeah. I downloaded Space Marine. Nice, dude. Enjoy that shit. I got to get back on there, man. I'm just so busy. I know you guys don't like to hear it, but I am busy. But have you heard about Warhammer? Yeah, I have. Send your spare glasses to the P.O. box. Josh can't see. I'm going to go out and I'm hopefully going to get new glasses this weekend or at least get them ordered. Am I hyped for 28 years later? Not really. I'll probably check it out on streaming, but not really. I liked the first movie, though. The first movie was real cool. Yep, Paul has the take here. He says, every summer blockbuster will underperform because Hollywood has destroyed the entire theatrical release business model. Thank you for your time. Yep, he's right. Yep. Nailed it. Oh my God. Dude, he's such a liar, man. Why does he have to do this? So James Gunn said that he deleted a shot from Superman that garnered social media controversy. It was a TV commercial, and it wasn't a finished VFX shot. I didn't love the shot, so it's not even the shot that's in the movie. If it's that thing, dude, you're lying. You're lying. You tried to say it was the camera. You tried to scold people for not understanding what fish angle lenses are or whatever. Jeez. Lilo made money, though. That's true. Explain Minecraft, then. Lilo and Stitch and Minecraft made money off of being an experience. Not because the theatrical experience is in and of itself so good. Does that make sense? Basically, people got something out of it. With Minecraft, they got their goofy little memes, their social media videos. They could say chicken jockey in the theater, and it went viral on TikTok. That was an experience. Lilo and Stitch, the experience is like seeing Lilo and Stitch in live action. There's like an inherent draw to that and to experiencing it. Chicken jockey. Minecraft just had a big fan base and it was trendy, so it was big. I think that's part of it. Yeah, that's obviously a part of it. Very popular game. Wait, what? Recommend you purchase Godzilla Unnatural Disasters, Godzilla World of Monsters. Okay. Seems like you're really into the Godzilla stuff, so yeah. Yeah. Custodes lore to end it. Custodes lore to end it. What to say about the Custodes? I'll tell you a lesser known fact about the Custodes. All of the Custodes have a small dagger. It's called a misericordia. Okay. And the misericordia translates in High Gothic to mercy. Okay. And a lot of the times, like, the Custodes will use them to do, like, mercy kills on people, but they're actually a status symbol. Because in very rare cases, if a custodian is too brutal, they will actually get their misericordia removed. And it's a sign of shame. Okay. And you might be like, wait, what? Like, I thought they were perfect. Well, they're perfect in a way that's kind of fucked up. So, like, for instance, the Emperor gives Valdor the Apollonian Spear. The Apollonian Spear shows you, like, the past, present, and future of a person. So part of the reason that the Emperor explicitly says is why he gave Valdor the Apollonian Spear is he's like, killing has become too easy for you. And so you need to feel the weight of the death. And so, it's a similar concept to like the Misericordia thing, because if Valdor is fucking shit up so badly that like the Emperor's like, bruh, you're going to need this spear so that you can like actually feel the death a little bit more, then you can imagine certain Custodes probably being too brutal and having their Misericordia taken away. It's like a status symbol. Yeah. Nobody really talks about that, but yeah, that's in the lore. Yeah. So there you go. By the way, I have like a lot of Warhammer videos we're cooking. Trust me, we're having some fun over there building the lore catalog. So yeah, so good things are coming, man. Good things are coming. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you guys for being here, man. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Maybe I'll take some photos at the new studio just so you can kind of see what that looks like. Either way, man, I'm going to get on out of here. I appreciate you guys. No stream tomorrow. We'll be back at it on Monday. And as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Wait, what the hell? Andrew says Nerd Hammer for life. Oh, hell yeah, brother. Oh, man. That's a happy landing. You know, that was a good-ass stream, man. We got some breaking news. We got into some spicy topics. That was a good one, man. No wonder y'all keep showing up, man. We have fun over here. Hell yeah. Make sure you check out the clips later. And yeah, we'll be back at it on Monday. Really appreciate you. Time to go get a migraine, cut my hair, and mow the lawn. So I'll see you in the next one. Much love, man. Appreciate y'all. Just do me a favor, a couple favors, if you would. Open up your third eye and wash out your stinky butt.